Ah, yes. You know that familiar tune. You know their names.
I'm Agent Fox Mulder. This is Agent Dana Scully. We're with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And you know this is the X-Files. The X-Files was birthed from the mind of Chris Carter and first aired in 1993, starring David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson as FBI agents Fox Mulder and Dana Scully. The X-Files was unique as it was about investigating the paranormal, the weird, and the unexplained. But it did so in an intelligent and witty way. Two points of view were often given on the show. The point of view of someone who wants to believe, and in many cases does, Mulder, and the science first and everything can be explained skeptic but religious Scully. Evidently, this struck a chord with viewers because it led to 202 episodes that spanned 9 seasons, 2 movies, and a revival in 2016 that added 16 more episodes and led to the definitive conclusion of the show. So, it's now 2021 at the time of this video, and it's time to see if the X-Files still holds up or if it's a relic of a bygone era and was never as good as it first seemed. I'm Melvin, and this is Unexplained Possibilities Reviews The X-Files Season 1. So, right off the bat, Season 1 of The X-Files is slow. I would not recommend a marathon of Season 1 unless you're a die-hard fan of the series. The episodes take too long to set up the events and even longer to see the events play out. When things finally do get rolling, the pacing still seems off. Funnily enough, while the episodes themselves are slow to get going, I never felt bored watching them. Perhaps it's because I wanted to know what was happening, why it was happening, and how would the two agents solve the case. I stayed engaged with the episodes, but there's still that little voice in my head saying, hurry up. This isn't an action show by any means. Yes, there is some gunplay from time to time, but it's rare when guns are actually used. Things aren't blowing up left and right, and sometimes there's no noticeable bad guy. This can make it harder to get into, and it contributes to the slowness of an episode. There are elements in the episodes that can scare you, but overall it's not a scary show, and that's not its aim. Some will be disappointed by that. I feel that disturbing is the proper terminology to describe some episodes, especially a certain episode from Season 4. The X-Files as a whole is an intelligent show, and not a pretentious intelligence either. The first season introduces that intelligence well enough, maybe even too much. Some of the conversation can be a little head-spinning and drag on, but they're usually relevant to the events of the episode. Does this mean you need a Stanford degree to understand it? No, not at all. The show forces you to pay attention to what's going on through its clever dialogue. It makes you think, and like I said earlier, it keeps you engaged. Yes, big words are used in conversation for possible medical explanations about a case, but it never feels like the conversations are insulting to your intelligence or lack of intelligence. Season 1 of The X-Files has 24 episodes. Of those 24, 5 are mythology episodes. What this means is that if you're only interested in the overall story arc of the series, then you don't need to watch every episode to stay informed, just the mythology episodes. All the other episodes in a season are usually standalone. There are some exceptions to this, but those are few. Majority of the standalone episodes tend to be Monster of the Week and something supernatural, but stories involving more grounded topics like cults or psychotic murderer finds its way into the season as well. Outside of the mythology stories, the most memorable episodes of season 1 is easily episode 3 Squeeze, which is the first standalone, and its follow-up, episode 21 Tombs, which is the first standalone episode follow-up. Without spoiling too much, try to imagine a guy who can squeeze through the smallest of openings and kill people to eat their livers. Freaky, right? Eve is also a good episode involving identical murders, identical girls, but both the murders and the girls are from opposite sides of the country. I wish I could give you more good standalone episodes, but I found them to be average, and they didn't really strike me as hard as Squeeze and Tombs did. You can tell they're still getting their feet wet with the writing and storytelling of the standalone episodes. Again, they're not bad, just not memorable. All the mythology episodes are memorable because they tend to be more serious and deal with what most people know the X-Files for: aliens. In fact, season 1 feels like it's too much alien talk despite there being only 5 episodes, with that being the primary focus. I think because they focus on it so strongly and also bring it up in some of the standalone episodes, it gets tiring. A balance was missing in that regards. There's also long-term setups with characters we get no real information on. Deep Throat, the cigarette smoking man, and even the lone gunman. We're not given their backstory, but when we see them, we know they're established. Whatever it is they do, we know they've been doing it for a long time, and that makes it feel like there's a living world in the X-Files, and it's so much more that can be explored. Season 1 sets this up so well, you just want more and more. Speaking of characters, where would the show be without the main characters, Mulder and Scully? It'd be 6 feet under, that's where. We're introduced to Dana Scully first, and she's speaking with her superiors, and they ask her if she knows of Fox Mulder, which she says yes, and talks about his credentials and exploits and so on and so forth, while her superiors mention her credentials and tell her she's Mulder's partner on the X-Files now. This was such a clever way of backstory exposition without having to go into a full-on backstory. This is one of the few times where it felt like the pacing was right and it wasn't too slow to get into the characters and what they bring. When Mulder and Scully meet for the first time, I feel it's a bit of a stumble. In the first episode of season 1, they try too hard to make Mulder seem off and spooky, which is what's used to describe him. It's so forced it takes away and nearly impossible to believe because David Duchovny's portrayal of Mulder is just too darn likable. Yes, he's a little eccentric, but it's nothing too odd about that. Them forcing it and having Scully play the straight man is a turnoff and just doesn't fit. Don't get me wrong, Scully is a very good straight man, but at this first meeting, she shouldn't have been forced to play one. Throughout the season, we see the chemistry between the two agents and, in reality, actors grow. It's such a natural progression, you forget that they're actors and probably not the best of friends. The little things that they do, the witty banter, the looks, and even the annoyance feels real. How they manage that level of chemistry so quickly is beyond me. However, along with this comes a more annoying, reoccurring thing. Mulder seeing or experiencing something paranormal and Scully not believing it, even if she saw it herself. This is one of those annoyances that is a necessary evil because you need some type of disagreement and an invisible adversary. Mulder's want and need to believe and Scully's explanation for everything and I can't believe is a good dynamic to play off of, but it does have its annoying moments. Are they annoying enough to ruin anything? Not really, since they come at the end of episodes. But you try watching several episodes in a row and not get frustrated at Scully for not believing what she herself experienced. Now, this is me being nitpicky, but it's something off about the look as well. I don't know if the show is too dark and dreary or what, but I'm not a fan of the look of season 1. Something about it just feels off and adds to the feeling of the show being too slow at times for me. Season 1 of The X-Files can be looked at as a season of learning. What works, what doesn't work, what you, the viewer, likes and dislikes. The season overall is slow, at times too slow. The forcing of Mulder to be spooky and trying to pass that off as a thing feels pretty hard. Scully's ignorance when it comes to believing something she herself experienced is rather annoying as well. The majority of episodes, while not bad, just aren't that impactful or memorable, but that's okay. Not many first seasons of anything are phenomenal. What does work is the setting up of the mythology, the chemistry and likability of the characters, the mysteriousness of it all, and the ability to keep the viewer engaged despite the weaknesses that the show has throughout the season. Season 1 of The X-Files is solid, but can be better in a lot of ways. It's worth a watch, and I do feel it holds up. Yes, technology is different, but the storytelling still works. It very much feels like the start of a journey, and that's exactly what the first season of a series should be. So, on the Crimson Star scale, I give Season 1 of The X-Files a 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to share your thoughts on the first season of The X-Files with us in the comments section down below. And while at it, be sure to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. Thank you again for watching, and we will be seeing you next review.